Greetings, members one and all of the Salivation Nation, with some kind of interesting news regarding gold and silver prices. Looks like gold has gained as U.S.-China trade truce triggers a dollar sell-off, which is a little bit odd. I would think it would be the other way around. But nonetheless, let's take a look at this here. This is an article from CNBC. Gold gained 1% on Monday, hitting its highest in more than 3 weeks, boosted by a sell-off in the dollar after the United States and China called a truce on fresh trade tariffs for 90 days. You would think that would help the dollar, not hurt it, but I don't know. Maybe it's something I'm not understanding. Meanwhile, Palladium soared to a record, putting it about $12 short on parity with gold. You may remember I posted a video about that some time ago, that Palladium could possibly surpass gold. It looks like it's on its way. Spot gold was up 0.78% at $1,231.35, $1,231.35. Its highest since its $1,234.87 on November the 7th. U.S. gold futures settled up 1.1% at $1,239.60. Mainly, it's the weakness in the dollar today. The dollar was down with respect to most of the currencies as a result of the outcome, at least what we call it as a positive outcome from the G20 meeting between the U.S. and China, said Jeff Clearman, portfolio manager at Granite Shares. It wasn't the most positive outcome that could have occurred, but it was positive. It helped to weaken the dollar and to support the metal. U.S. President Donald Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping agreed to hold off on new tariffs during the Group of 20 summit in Argentina over the weekend after months of escalating tensions on trade and other issues. The truce encouraged investors to sell the dollar, making gold cheaper for holders of other countries. Okay, so there's where it comes into play. Because for so long, many people, like in Canada and other nations, were complaining that the price was low in our country, the United States, but not in their countries. Well, looks like this is a gift to you other nations. For those of you who watch this channel from outside the United States, I'm hoping you can take advantage of your low gold prices, because for us, it's going up a little bit. The U.S.-China trade ceasefire gave traders and investors a double-barreled shot of upbeat news, following last week's surprisingly dovish comments coming from U.S. Federal Reserve Chairman Jay Powell. Kitco Metal senior analyst Jim Wyckoff said in a note, the U.S. dollar index is weaker as the secondary world currencies were boosted, including the Chinese yuan, by the truce, resulting in a bullish outside market force for the metals markets. The U.S. currency has been the preferred safe haven this year as the U.S.-China trade conflict unfolded against a backdrop of higher U.S. interest rates, denting gold's appeal. Bullion is likely to get a further boost if prices manage to stand firmly above $1,230, and particularly if they surpass $1,235. Active trades analyst Carlo Alberto de Casa wrote in a note, a climb would become more likely if the Fed reduces the number of rate hikes in 2019 and 20. So this could be the beginning of the end of low gold prices, or the low that we've been used to for quite a while, hovering around that $1,200 range, especially if what the Fed chair is saying about possibly holding off on rate hikes on some of them that they've been anticipating for 2019. Because as we know, when the Fed lowers or raises rates, gold and silver go down because it strengthens the dollar and helps stave off inflation. Let's see, it talks about it, it expands upon that here in the article, saying that lower interest rates reduce the opportunity cost of holding non-yielding bullion and weigh on the dollar. Meanwhile, Palladium, this might be the biggest news of the day, has gained 2.3% to $1,205 an ounce after registering a record high of $1,221.95 earlier in the session. The metal, mainly used in emissions-reducing auto catalysts for vehicles, has risen about 15% so far this year. It looks like there will be a breakthrough with China and the tariffs, which could translate into more demand moving forward, especially in cars, said Bob Habercorn, senior market strategist at RJO Futures. And with that being said, that's what drove the prices up in Palladium, which is interesting. That means that Palladium very well may be the king of the precious metals for a while, when for the longest time there were platinum was the king of precious metals. But of course, notwithstanding, rhodium is way out there, and even now it's above. It's the king of precious metals, but it's really not seen, in the same level that platinum, palladium, and gold are. Trump said Monday that China agreed to cut import tariffs on American-made cars. Spot silver climbed 1.5% to $14.38, and platinum rose 1.1% to $806.40. Platinum is low, and I believe that we're seeing, if the things continue the way this article mentions into next year, now might be a good time to buy platinum as well, because it's going to ride the coattails of gold and silver for sure, and possibly palladium. We shall see. But very interesting indeed. Looking here at gold and silver prices, this is the markets today. As we scroll along here, we can see, look at how close palladium here is showing here at about 1210. And it's a little different down here than it is up there, the ticker up here. But silver's up $14.41, up 15 cents, a 1% climb. Platinum is up $1.13, and palladium is up $13, which is a 1.15% climb, which is the largest mover of the day. And gold is up $8.60, up almost 0.75% there. So very fascinating indeed to see these markets and where they're going. What surprised me is that I would have thought the metals would have moved the other way with some easing of tensions, trade tensions, because I would think any kind of economic stress or uncertainty would cause the precious metals to go up. But instead, it has had a different effect, and that affects differences based off of the rules with the easing of these tensions, and essentially the selling off of the dollar to give bolstering the other currencies. And some people have argued that's what Trump wants. I don't know, a weaker dollar. But really, in the end, what we need is a stable dollar. Really, that should be the ultimate goal. Because I think in stability does lie strength to a point, because it's recognizable. And as we saw when the trade tariffs were happening, the dollar was up. People were looking to the dollar because really, even though it is volatile, it is the most stable of the currencies out there, hence why it's the world's reserve currency. And it's the best of the breadbasket of currencies that the IMF holds. So that's where we stand with the market report for today. Interesting movements. We'll see how this thing plays out. I still believe we will see a rate hike this month, and I believe that it's been baked into the precious metal prices, and it won't have a whole lot of an effect on them, and I think they'll continue their climb either upwards. If anything, the rate hikes may cause a pause in the increase in the prices, but nonetheless, still, notwithstanding, these prices are far off, way far off from my predictions of where I thought the markets were going to be towards the end of the year. I was very bullish, especially considering where the prices are now compared to where they were when they made that prediction. But I was under the impression that we might see gold upwards of, but not including $1,400 an ounce, and silver upwards of, but not including $20 an ounce, somewhere in the 19s. That didn't happen. Either way, I know some in this community believe that anything, especially in terms of silver, anything under $20 is a steal. And I tend to agree, but cautiously, because of the nature of silver compared to gold. They do ride the coattails of each other. More likely it is that silver rides the coattails of gold, But since it is more of a commodity, then is as recognized as what we understand it to be and what it has been for thousands of years as money. Um, I believe that it'll ride the coattails of gold, but certainly that ratio, the ratio between gold and silver, I believe as prices do climb, they will begin to narrow. The gold to silver price will narrow in time. We'll see how that plays out. Interesting and fascinating indeed. Palladium is the metal to watch in terms of its climb. And I believe now that it could rise, especially if things ease and the way that it was explained in that article with the tension, with the demand for palladium now is catalytic converters. Platinum, I think it's more efficient with the diesel engines, and that's still being hurt from the VW thing. But we shall see. It could be that the price may be low enough for platinum that it could become a competitive metal in the markets again. It may be worth retooling for platinum. We'll see how it plays out. I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude, y'all, for watching, and encourage you to please rate, comment, and subscribe.